Mr. Cory.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Kelvin.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
What's up, man?
Oh, man. A lot. What's going on with you?
I'm great. Not much. Just trying to get my lighting. My lighting is always messed up
you seem like
in
you're
this area for some
room.
reason. So I gotta.
I can only see half of you.
Is that a little better? I think that's a little better.
Yeah.
Is that better?
It is.
You know, I did this, and like someone said I look like I was taken captive in the basement and held in the basement. So
yeah, I mean nowadays you got to have a full production studio in your house to, the lighting and all that stuff is an important part.
It's critical.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Right. So there we go. Now we're looking better over here.
Okay.
You know, we always have these conversations about industry and different things like that. And I figured that we should have more of these conversations for the public, for our meetups and the people who are coming to us and they're looking for information, right? And the biggest thing that, of course, you and I have been talking about is how this COVID-19 pandemic is our industry. And let's just talk about it. Let's talk the way this is not an interview. This is our normal conversations that we have. And let's just give it to the people,
Right. I understand.
So what are your thoughts? So let's get it started. What are your thoughts?
Well, obviously I've had a lot of thoughts around this coronavirus, COVID-19, how it's going to just affect our society in general, but also businesses and finances specifically, seeing that that's kind of the area that's the sandbox that we play in, whether it be real estate or investment or insurance or just personal finance in general. And, a couple things came to me in thinking about this, and I just kind of started jotting some down. And I've been doing a few, Zoom calls and webinars and things like that to really just kind of start laying out. I'm looking for some of the notes that I've been writing just on random pieces of paper. But I guess the first thing that comes to mind is that it's because for me, in some instances, my business has gotten busier from the kind of helping people get their financial house in order side. Where I don't know what it is about human nature, but sometimes it takes things like this for people to really, things that you've been saying for years and years and years. People call you and say, "Oh yeah, you were right. I should have done this. I should have done that." And again, it's just human nature. We have this syndrome where it's never going to happen to us until it happens to us, and that's just part of the human condition.
Right.
We're always aspirational, best case scenario sort of things, but we got to be practical. So what my thoughts were initially was that it's kind of be two camps. People who did what they were supposed to and are somewhat prepared for this, and I'll talk about them first, who now are in the position where they can kind of take advantage of the situation from a financial standpoint, whether it be, real estate or other things like that. And then I think for the people who are not, let's hope this is that lesson or that paradigm shift that will kind of let them know, hey, I need to get prepared for the next time. Because another thing I'm letting my clients know is, if you think this is the last one, you're sadly mistaken. There will be another one, whether it's a downturn, maybe it's because of a viral thing, maybe it's not. But so I think both in terms of the financial market hiccup, as well as dealing with these viral setbacks, I don't think this is the last time we will see this.
Well, we have these conversations a lot in regards to always have a certain amount of money, like 3 to 6 months worth of reserve when it comes to your savings. Always have different financial tools and things like that. And we're like, okay, good. The worst that can happen is I miss a paycheck or whatever the case, right? And then when bless you, when something goes along and nobody sees it coming, it's like, and not even the fact that no one sees it coming, especially to this magnitude, it's like, what do you do? And even some of the conversations that I'm having with people, they're learning that, I've been living a means or living high in the hog, and I really don't that much, and again, like what you said, it takes these situations to kind of shine their light on some of the things that's going,
Right.
But you said that you see more. Your part of the business has gotten business has increased. Like, why do you think that is?
Well, I think you kind of hit on it. It's one of those things where, it's like people, how long has people heard or have been informed, hey, you need an emergency fund? You mentioned people didn't see this coming. Well, there's a reason they call it an emergency fund. Most emergencies you don't see coming.
Right.
I mean, it could be this, it could have been, I remember when my transmission went out on my car. I didn't see that coming either, but it still cost me $1,500 just for the part, not the labor. The part was $1,500.
Right.
So an emergency is
an
emergency.
When you're prepared for stuff, when you're prepared for stuff, like you said, that transmission, it might hurt. Like, dang, I don't want to spend that $1,500, but at least I was prepared.
Exactly.
It didn't stop me. It just, that's like the best thing right there. So yeah,
exactly. And then that's, like you said, that's why we, preach this stuff. This stuff comes from real life. They just didn't pull out this 3 to 6 months, because a lot of people, oh, that's a lot of money. Well, is it? Because it looks like it's going to be somewhere between 3 to 6 months. Some people even saying longer, but before we come out of this for the first round, assuming there is no second round. So this stuff is not, people aren't just making this stuff up. These numbers are here for a reason, and that's why it's become industry standard. So I think what's happening now that people kind of see the ramifications of that, they're like, okay, let me start to get my, this is the evidence that, I knew I should have done it. For whatever reason, I put it off. I kicked the can down the road. I was just kind of playing with house money. But at some point in time, you got to pay the piper. So now people are realizing, hey, let me do what I need to do to get myself in a better position. But more importantly, build that solid financial foundation so that when things like this happen, you're not negatively affected. You'll be affected, but not negatively affected. You can take a hit and keep on going, where, like, just forget like the corona. Like I mentioned, most people, if they, I think the statistic is most Americans cannot withstand a $400 a month emergency situation. So they certainly couldn't handle a $1,500 transmission. And that's what starts that downward spiral for most
Right.
people. You get behind with this, and then you get behind with your rent, and you get behind on your credit cards, and now you got foreclosure. Because you can never catch up. So just something as simple as an emergency fund is huge. Again, haven't had to do a lot of selling people on that now, where 2 months ago, a lot of people, they could kind of, they may or may not have been feeling it, but they're feeling it now.
Right. And and we were on the call earlier because at this point with my industry, I'm looking for more creative or alternative funding sources that a lot of hard money lenders have pulled out from investing in real estate, or there are situations where even just the traditional mortgages is kind of topsy-turvy, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And now for me, I'm kind of going back to how I even got started in business, is using alternative sources of funding. And as we know, the SBA has a few things that you and I are looking to vet based off of the conversation. Some other lenders, but I mean, in the real estate industry, I'm having this conversation a lot where I'm telling, I'm speaking to different people, and everybody's saying something different. And we keep talking about 2008, but then other people are like, but this is not 2008, right? This is completely different. And I feel like on my nobody really has answers. Is all speculation.
You're
You
right.
know,
Mm-hmm.
like even me on one end, what I do know is being a buy and hold investor is going to be a great thing because people are still going to need places to live. You have forbearances that's happening. You have people losing their jobs, these different things.
Yep.
And some people are going to have to move and sell their homes or lose their homes, you know, is, well, so like I say, it's on our end, it's all speculation.
Yeah, I mean, and it's tough because you said, you don't really know where it's going to go. I was around real doing some big things in my career back then. At that time, I was working, full time in an architectural firm, kind of working my way up through the ranks there. When the 2008 hit, but this is definitely a different animal, and because it's really hard to kind of predict how this is going to shake out. With what's difficult about this one is, even with the 2008, where the banks and things got hit, people still had jobs, people were still working. Where here, you actually had
Right.
people are furloughed, and a lot of these small businesses is going to be kind of twofold. A lot of these small businesses, unfortunately, are not going to be able to take the hit, even with the stimulus, because it's going to be maybe too little, too late for some. And then some of the small to mid-sized to large businesses, now that we've all been kind of forced into this telework syndrome, because a lot of people were exploring it. There were some folks who had procedures around it. They were looking at it, a lot of science behind it in terms of productivity. But since we've all been forced into it, it's like we've been force fed telework. So a lot of companies, they're not going back to status quo, like brick and mortar, paying
Yeah.
rents for people to sit at desks when I could have you sit at home and maybe get 70, 80% of the same production, maybe even 100. But I don't have to pay for, carpet and a water cooler and printers and stuff like that. they're going to start looking at the numbers and say, hey, we can cut back and still be productive, and cut that big lease, because working in the facilities management area for a long time is one thing that we learned, that the second greatest cost to any business after payroll is the costs of their space, their lease, the cost of their space. So a lot of companies now are going to realize that, hey, I can, maybe I don't need all this space. Maybe I don't need all these people. And so to your point, there's going to be some fallout. There's going to be a lot of folks who not going to be able to continue to pay rent or mortgage or things like that. So I think there's going to be a bit of a domino effect on the real estate market, unless there's some other emerging technology or something that takes those, that can reemploy those people in short order. There's going to be some challenge to collecting rents when people are furloughed or don't have jobs.
Yeah, and that's one thing I'm interested to see, because right now in Maryland there's a moratorium on rents and foreclosure. Yep. So in Maryland right now during the pandemic, you can't evict anyone and you can't foreclose. And I was a little further, where even collections, any collection attempt is prohibited right now.
Yep.
No collection calls. No, can't rehab. Not rehab. See where I am, right? Can't repo anybody's cars. All of that.
That's nice.
But the thing is, after everything is right, but the thing is, after it's over,
yes,
what happens? Now we can do these things. Or is it gonna be some type of grace period? And that's what I'm saying, is like a lot of it is speculation, because there's still the other side that no one's talking about.
Right.
And I keep saying we've never seen this before.
Exactly.
And I'm helping, and I'm gearing up people to think about all of those different things and try to think of the possible different outcomes of what to look for.
Right. And yeah, you bring up a couple good points, because this kind of is the grace period. I think everybody's kind of be given a pass right now, but it can only last so long, because at some point, if your payments, or whether it be for your mortgage or whatever, is what I'm hearing is they're not forcibly remove anybody now, but in that 2 or 3 month period when things get quote unquote back to normal, you need to come up with your 3 months. And which is still difficult for people who have been furloughed or laid off. It's like, well, I didn't have the rent then, I still don't have it now, and maybe I got a $1,200 check, one $1,200 check. With the last 3 months,
with that $1,200
for my kids, and maybe my wife got one. So let's say we got $3,000 or so. Okay, 3 months from now, that money's gone, and now you want 3 months of rent, mortgage, lease payments, whatever. It's gonna be, I think it's gonna be a lot of
gas and electric,
the whole nine. So it's gonna be
right.
I don't think it's gonna be a pretty picture. We hope for the best, but as we talk about, you got to plan for the worst, which is why we do what we do in terms of talking to people about how to generate more money, how to invest, how to create those multiple streams of income, because at the end of the day, you're gonna need money for this stuff. So you got to step up your game in terms of on the income side.
What are people to do? on the finance side?
Say that again.
What are your people to do on the finance side?
What am I recommending that people do on the finance side? So
Right.
yeah, so it's pretty much that, it just goes back to the whole thing where multiple streams of income now is no longer a luxury, it's a requirement. So, you got to kind of figure that out. One of the conversations, one of the presentations I was doing is kind of really looking at the different areas of that. So what I've done, where I've kind of modified that message a little bit for what's going on now, is kind of broken those things up into three categories where yes, you need multiple streams of income. That's just a foregone conclusion. So it's that the days of, and if this didn't convince you of this, I don't know what can. So the days of just working a job, whether it be government or whatever, and saying, "Hey, I'm good," those days are gone. They just are.
Right.
So, but you still need to be kind
Right.
of strategic in what it is that you do. So, for in terms of the multiple streams, so one, you definitely need some sort of means of generating income that you can do from your couch. That's what I think. That's the big lesson
Right.
for the COVID-19. So even if you had a job and you drove Uber on the weekend and you painted houses and you had your hustle on, if one of those hustles wasn't something you could do from inside being, shelter in place or quarantine, then all that stuff was shut down too. So those weren't viable streams. So definitely need to find a stream of income you can do pretty much from the couch. Then the other thing is, in terms of like what I do, why I said the business is booming a little bit, is that it'd be good to have something in the category of something that people need. In my particular case, is financial services. So, when the market is good, financial services are, people are excited. They want to know what's the newest thing, where can I invest my money to get some better returns. That's the thing. When the market is bad, financial services is just as popular because people are like, where can I put my money where I can't lose it? My 401k just dropped 30%. I got an email, quick sidebar. Won't divulge who the organization is, but it's a large national organization who solicited me to do a presentation on essentially what can they do with their 401k to kind of mitigate some of the losses. So I'm gonna be doing that next month with this large, national organization that if I mention the name, everyone probably would know. So financial service, in bad times you're busy, in good times you're busy. Because it's something that people need. I have a friend who just recently got involved with a medical supply company. Some people need that. She's selling, surgical mask or the mask. Now, again, 2 months ago, nobody cared about a mask. Now everybody needs one. You can't go outside without one. So something people need. So if you want to, so there's plenty of opportunities where, you can get involved with things that people need. And then also you can do that from the comfort of your home. It's just kind of thinking about that and position yourself. And then last but not least, you still want to work in an area for things that people want. And that's where I think like the real estate, the entertainment, the travel, that stuff. Because when this is all said and done, whenever that is, and people are going to want to get back to normal. They're going to, more people are going to want to get that house or just go on vacation because they've been cooped up for the last however many weeks. They just want to go somewhere with the family where they can just get back to what life, some semblance of what life was beforehand. Or go to a concert, go to a show, go to a movie, like the normal stuff we used to do. People they're gonna want to do what they want to do. So you wanna have something in that category of what people want. So things you can do from home, things that people need. You always want to be in a market like that, and then things that people want. So regardless of the ebb and flow of the market, you should be in demand at all times with something that you're doing.
Well, first of all, I'm going to the part first. When they open up outside, when I had an echo, but when they open up outside, I'm staying in the house because they're gonna be crazy out there. I'm gonna stay in the house for a little longer. I'm gonna let them get it all out their system, right?
That's what you say. That's what you say until somebody call you and say, I'm gonna pay you goo gobs of money to DJ this party because I got 1,500 people, because people just aching to go to a club or go to a party anywhere. It could be a house party. House party is gonna be packed out.
Different conversation.
Yeah.
That's a different right. You're right. If they paying, I'm playing.
Yeah. So like you said, hey, you in that category, you got something that people want. A good DJ. Well, you got two, real estate. People want real estate. People want a party. So
people need real estate, and that's the thing. And I tell people, because they'll ask me, what's the market like? It depends on which side of the market or what you're doing. If you're a retail buyer and it's a sales market, then you have one opinion. If you're a seller, you may have another opinion. Mm-hmm. If you're an investor and different, depending on which type of investment strategy that you're using. So it really depends. And that's why you have to pay attention to find out which area or which strategy that you want to employ in order to make money.
Right. And I understand, but I still look at real estate because the general motivation to purchase is that need to have, that, because a lot of people, as you know, you need food, water, and shelter, which obviously is real estate. But a lot of people, what they buy isn't, okay, let me buy just to know what I need. I buy the house I want. I want this nice house with this nice yard and a nice driveway. And, what's the most I qualify for? How many people come to you and ask for, what's the least I qualify for? Because they want to buy something that they want. But here's the thing.
We also forget about rentals.
Say again?
But don't forget rentals, though, because, don't forget about the rental market, because, okay, I can't buy a house. I still need shelter.
Oh, no, absolutely.
I'm a rent
absolutely. I was thinking more of the, So I wasn't really looking at the renting part as real estate, but obviously you're correct. I'm focusing more on the people who are purchasing. Even the fix and flippers, they get a house, they fix it up, but they put certain amenities in there because they know people want those amenities. Granite countertop,
right.
So for heated floor, people want that stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's what you want to do. You want a product that people want because you're in business to make money. So I'm just saying, in that want category, at the top of that list is real estate.
Yeah,
and that's a good thing. And that's a good
thing. If I have to tell somebody a house and DJ the housewarming, then I'll do it. Outside of that, I'm gonna stay in the house for a little bit until all out their system.
Right, until it's really safe to go outside. Yeah.
Right. Because right now we're dealing with Corona.
Right.
After that, I'm dealing with people.
Right. Exactly. Well, I mean, it's something that I had kind of
What
put out there, or I'm kind of letting people know, which I think will just kind of help us moving forward. Because I'm always the type of person like, okay, we're here now, but let's start thinking 3 or 4 steps down the road. And based on everything
right?
that I'm hearing or seeing, basically, to some extent, this is going to be the new normal. So I had to come up with something where it said the old way of, and you basically can fill in the blank, will be a thing of the past. What are you doing or planning to prepare for the changes to our new reality? So the old way of doing real estate, the old way of education, the old way of healthcare, all this stuff is going to change forever. We just don't know to what extent. But this is that watershed moment in our lifetime. Just like every generation has their thing, this is our thing. Because from here forward, it's going to be different. It might actually be better. In some instances, I think it will be better, but it will certainly be different.
I think in any situation, there's pros and cons to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a lot of these conversations, and we always talk about the new normal, but we never really specify or talk about what that may be normal. The industry, what is it that you said may be the new normal? Some of the trends that you're seeing right now because of this.
So what do I think the new normal will be in some of the trends? Well, of course, telework. People are now very used to working at home. I remember one of the last organizations I worked for, they were actually working on a telework program, and I remember hearing in one of those meetings there was some science behind it. And now this is fun. This is kind of crazy, but I have to say, I think it's 100% accurate. What the science said was, now get this, mm-hmm. Productivity actually goes up with teleworking. Now this is before Corona, but I think to a person, we can look and look at our own experience and see, I do more work now than I did before Corona. Because it's not like let me go here, let me go run out and have a 2-hour lunch. Let me go hang out with my boy Cory. Let's go to Top Golf for a little while.
Okay, Top Golf.
I grab a snack. Say again.
I was saying Top Golf, right?
Yeah. We go there for an hour. We there like 3 hours. So, we say it's business. and it is because we talk, but
it is.
That's 3 hours. Those 3 hours I would have been with you at Top Golf. I'm right here at this computer. I go, eat my lunch, I watch ESPN for 20, 30 minutes, and I'm back on the computer. So productivity, statistically.
What are you watching on ESPN? There's no sports.
Huh? What else am I going to watch? I'm not going to watch the news.
There's no sports on ESPN.
Look, I'd rather watch an old Super Bowl.
I'm saying there's no sports. What are you watching on ESPN?
Yeah, I'd rather watch an old Super Bowl or them talk about the draft or something than the news right now. It's too depressing. But after my 30 minutes or so, I come back here and I get out a bunch of emails. I do like 4 or 5 Zooms a day. Next thing I know, I look up, it's 6 o'clock. I'm still working. That never happens when I'm working a 9 to 5. So you asked the question, what do I think will change? Telework, because again, the statistics I've heard, productivity actually goes up, and I think when businesses realize that, for certain types of business or certain type of task, almost everybody's going to have a telework policy after this. What else? I think, of course, medicine is going to change. Same sort of thing. They got telemedicine. But I think what else is going to change is that people are going to realize that they need to be more in control of their finances. It's one of those things. If you can't control your paycheck,
Definitely.
you can't control your future. And, you know, these things are happening too
Now, where do you see
frequently for us to
with
just ignore that.
that being said, where do you see the investment opportunities on the finance side? Because of the fact that all of these things are good, we're looking for opportunities. Like what opportunities do you see on the where to invest or what industries to invest in?
Okay, well, let's start with the real estate side. Since that's your, and you know, you probably already know what I'm going to say because it's one of the areas that we talk a lot about. But
That's not where I was going, but okay.
no, look, you asked the question. I mean, I think the bank notes are going to get crazy. So again, because one, it's one of those areas that people don't really know about,
Right.
but two, just look at what's going. And I've heard some things. I'm not going to mention anything. We could talk about this off air because I don't want to give them the insider trading stuff. But it's some folks that are kind of getting positioned. You see hedge funds and things doing certain things to position themselves because just I mean it's not hard to predict. We got so many people who are unemployed right now. Some of those people are going to get their jobs back. Some people are not.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't, who have mortgages, that's now there's going to be this influx of bad paper. Now, so based on that, that means some of that paper, not all of it, because they can't foreclose on everybody. Some of that bad paper is going to wind up going into the bank note market to be sold off, which means there'll be more investment opportunities for non-performing notes where you can get these notes at a discount. So after this, whatever this phase is where we're in now, there's no foreclosure, no this and that. And then let's say 3 months from now, that bill comes due. Some people will be able to pay it, some people won't. Then maybe another 3 months from there where they can't get that satisfied and the banks have all these non-performing assets on their books that they got to liquidate. You want to be in position to be a bank note investor. That's because
that's part of the reason why that's the reason why I'm talking about these alternative sources of funding, like the unsecured lines and things like that, to get into position to take advantage of, you know, the bank notes, take advantage of some of the stocks that we may look at, other investment opportunities that this situation is going to create, because that's where the real money is made in crisis, but looking for the opportunities versus looking at the problem itself.
Right.
You know, and that's what most of us go wrong because we're panicking or we just sit on the sidelines. Right. No, is a lot of opportunity that's right now, and just got to find it.
Right. Now here's another thing that I wanna give to you and your audience, and I'll be talking about this a little bit with this it's not my next event. This one is actually going to be on Thursday.
Well, this is not my audience. This is our audience. This is real estate into retirement audience. Is us.
Oh, okay. Is it? Look. I still don't know where I am. All I know, I just wake up. I do one Zoom to one live to another Zoom, so I can't keep track of where I am at what time, but that's fine.
So look,
let me get this
real quick. I'm gonna tell you what that reminds me of.
Let me get this one to you because I think you'll. Yeah. This is kind of in line with what you were talking about earlier. So just a FYI, for your alternative sources of funding, here's another one for you. So with the new CARES Act, which is the stimulus package, part of it, you know, you got the PPP and all that stuff, But part of it also allows for just a regular, average, everyday person who has a 401k to withdraw and or borrow $100,000 or 100% with no penalty. And then they can pay it back. Basically, got to pay it back in 3 years. So,
say that one more time.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it one more time. So, with the new CARES Act, part of one of the lesser known provisions in the CARES Act is if you have a 401k or 401k, 403b, TSP, whatever it is for my government workers, you can borrow or withdraw, meaning take the money out up to $100,000 or 100% of your, what's the term they use? I forget the term, but basically 100% of whatever you have access to. So, for example, some people are in their 401k, they might not be vested yet, so maybe they don't have access to the whole amount. But if you're vested, that means you have access to the money you put in and the money your employer put in. So the reason they say up to 100%, a lot of people might not have $100,000 in their 401k. So of course you can't pull $100,000 out, but you might have $50,000 in there. You can take all $50,000 of that out if you meet those requirements. But let's go back to the people who have $100,000 for this is me to Cory. So now you're looking for people. Okay, I got money in my 401k. I just took a hit. I'm talking to Agent Cory Banks now. I had a pretty decent amount in there. Let's say I had $1 million in there, and now I got 700,000. Okay, I'm not feeling too happy. But what the CARE Act said, I can take $100,000 out, no penalty. I don't want to pay the taxes for another 3 years. So I'm coming to Cory and I'm saying, I need you to do something with this $100,000 to make me back the money I lost in my 401k. Did your boy come through for you? So that's a whole nother. So now all the folks you know who got 401k, you need to be like, let me holler at you. Let me holler at you because I got a deal where I can get you some of your money back.
Now, can you post that information to the group when we get off?
I can post that information to the group when we get off. Matter of fact, let me see. While you're talking, I'm gonna see. I might have it up on one of my screens. I could put a link. I can post the link. So yeah, CARE Act. Here's a. Let me see if it goes into the detail. CARE Act. That's the required minimum distribution loans. I'm gonna post it. I have a couple of these articles that I'm gonna post. But no, here it is. Yeah, yes, it will allow you by plan certain participants may withdraw penalty free up to $100,000 between January 1st, 2020 and December 31st. So let me post this one. I didn't read this whole article, but it seems pretty. It basically gives you the gist, just so people know that this is not something that we just came up with. Let me see here. Let me go back to. Okay, let me post that right here. But yeah, it's you'll see a lot. But you can just Google CARE Act retirement plans, and you'll get all you need to get about what you can do. So now you have all these people who are motivated to kind of make up this money that they lost. You kind of got this one-time free get out of 401k free, get out of 401k jail free card for $100,000 or your 400,000, 100,000 or 100%, whichever is less. So if you only got 75 in your 401k and Now, there's pros and cons on should you do it, if you do it, what to do with the money. But my point is, you can do it. We may need to have,
Right.
that's where you need to
Especially this
talk with
time.
someone like me about, does it make sense for you to do it? But me, I like the bank notes because you can make that money back in 6 months and put the money back if you want. But you got 3 years. So imagine you take that 100,000 out and you put that money to work for 3 years. You can have a decent amount of money by the time you got to. And of course, if you put it back in, you don't owe any taxes. I mean, you don't owe no taxes, no penalty either. So let's say I took the 100,000 out. I do some deals for the next 3 years. You think I might be able to maybe get 250? Let's say I make a 200 on top of the 100 that I made. So I put the 100 back. I still got 200 in 3 years. That sounds plausible, don't you think?
Right. And right. And and I even tell people when we talk about 401k, I tell people before you do it, make sure you have a plan, because if you're a first time home buyer and you're looking to take the money out for down things like that, they're like, oh well, I'm gonna get penalized. But you're buying an asset that's gonna appreciate. You might get penalized for maybe 10% or something like that, but you're buying an asset that's gonna appreciate. In this particular situation, you're saying that, hey, you can take out anywhere up to $100,000. And if you have a plan for that 100, you're not getting penalized for the money that's in there. If you have a plan to make more money, to invest that, is a win-win. Is a win situation for you.
Yep. And there's no penalty as long as you do it between now and see, you got to the end of the year to pull the money out. So like you're saying, let's plan for it. Now, let me do a disclaimer in terms of, you got to check with your 401k plan. I think most of them will allow you, but I think there's a few that may not. So it just depends on if you're one of those unlucky people who your company is with a 401k manager that doesn't allow this, but it's a provision. The federal government is allowing you to do this. Just check with your 401k plan manager to see if they allow you. And I think like 85 to 90% should or will or would. You should be good to go. So hopefully you don't have your 401k with one of those folks who don't let you do it. Now, the other side of that is, if you got laid off or you're no longer working there, then you can move the money anyway. Yeah. So but that was always the case. You could move the money and pull it out. And I think also that during this period of time, you don't get penalized. So again, same thing. You have money in a 401k. Unfortunately, you got laid off. Now you can take that money out, and what I'm talking to a lot of people about who maybe didn't have their emergency fund. Let's use some of that for your emergency fund, especially if you're laid off. So you need funds. But let's make some smart financial decisions where our money can make us money. And again, that's the conversation we want to have, and something very safe. That's why I personally like the idea of the bank notes, maybe more so even than a fix and flip. I would maybe throw wholesaling in there, just because that's a short, you take a little bit of money. If I know you guys have strategies where you may not even have to put up an earnest money deposit to kind of tie up the property, but let's say you got to give them $5,000 or so to be in position to do a wholesale deal. That might be a good option. So things along those lines that are lower risk, higher return, because you want to make up that money as quickly as possible. within reason, because at the end of the day, 3 years is gonna go by like that, and you're gonna owe the money.
I think on the real estate side, if we're in a market where there's a lot of quote unquote volatility, you have people losing their homes and people can't qualify for homes because right now there's a situation where all the lenders are not on the same page. You have some lenders who have raised the credit requirements to like 660, 680. And now people that were at the 620 to 650, where they would be, they're not getting approved now.
Right.
And some other requirements. The question is, how long is that going to last? Because of the fact that the investors who purchase those loans from the banks now is a higher risk to them, because if someone purchases a home now, they lose their job tomorrow. They can automatically do forbearance, and you can't. So so that's a little, is a little volatile with real estate. But what I do suggest in those, now we're looking at the more creative sides of real estate, wholesaling, but when you talk about guaranteed rents, you talk about owner structure finance deals, lease options, these things like that is less risk in that regard. But for instance, if you cross a home and this person is about to lose their house and it doesn't have equity in it, right? Or there's now you want to look at the potential cash flow of their property. If and how much would it get them back on track? You may want to look at a subject to deal where where in that case is, if you go purchase the property outright, then the numbers don't really work well. But if you take over the purchase mortgage in that regard, now the numbers look different because of the fact that you don't have to go through closing costs and things like that. So I think on the real estate side, it's going to be more creative. It'll be better to be on the creative side if the market does do what we think is going to end up happening, right, when this thing is over.
No, and that's why I threw that, through pass the ball to you, just per your earlier comment about this creative financing, to just know that there's a whole nother source of funds that's been opened up. Like I said, this 401k get out of jail free card for every American. You get 10 people with $100,000. That's $1 million. What deal can't you do? Now, right, in terms of the creativity side and the lower risk, that's where, that's your end of the table, just because that's your area of expertise. So now you can talk to them about, this is how we're going to mitigate your risk. No risk, no deal's risk is zero. But one, if mm-hmm. you got 10 people, they got $100,000, but maybe for this deal, they all put up $20,000. You mm-hmm. talk to them about the strategy of how we're going to mitigate your risk. We're going to take y'all $20,000. That's what, $200,000, and we're going to do this with it. Off your 20, everybody's going to get this rate of return over this period of time. So you haven't blown all your money. And if those numbers work and you project that out, if we do this 3, 4, 5, 6 times over a 3 month period, even in this market, here's your rate of return. You take that 100,000, you put it back, and now you've made up some of what you lost in the market. But all the while, your risk was secured against real property. So the strategies on that side, yeah, absolutely. You want to look at those things that are less risky, but this just opens up a whole nother source of funding, because I'm sure you personally know 20 people who have more than $20,000 in their 401k who don't know that they can go get that money and invest it.
That's winning in the market.
Say
the
again.
People doing the creative, like I said, here's the people I see that's winning in this particular market. It's the people who are doing the creative deals, the people who are working with buying notes, and the people the investors who are buying with cash or certain unsecured lines. And the reason why the last is important, because if you are a rehabber and you're buying with cash versus a loan or a hard money loan, now you don't have that overhead every month, right? You don't have that monthly fee that you got to pay plus the other carrying costs that go on. If you're buying with cash, the person's money that you've agreed to pay them back, whatever your terms are. Unsecured line, is unsecured. Again, you don't have the junk fees and all the other stuff as a hard money lender. Now you're able to hold those property versus and pay more, because now you have a better deal coming at them and get more properties, and you're able to hold that property longer if you have to, and not lose your shirt because the property didn't sell at the moment that you needed to, or at the time frame that you needed it to sell.
Right.
Those are the three main people that and landlords, of course. But those are the people that I see winning in this particular market. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, you mentioned landlords. Seem like a lot of them are taking this hit because, again, I read something. Don't know how accurate it is about. 60% of the people or something didn't pay their rent last month or something like that. So what are you hearing from the landlord?
But remember,
I know the buy and hold people are, that's a big segment of that investor market. But what are you hearing?
I mean, I hear different things for the older, more seasoned landlords. I mean, they understand, and but remember, we also have the forbearance on these properties. So the lenders foreclose. They're giving them that reprieve. So in that aspect, I feel like it's kind of a wash. If I don't have to pay my mortgage and you don't have to pay your rent, I can't put you out. They can't afford. That's a wash right there.
Right. So everybody just everything is on pause right now.
Right, but then you have some of the other landlords who that's their like primary source of income, and they're probably a newer landlord, and they're like, nah, this ain't for me. I'm out, which brings opportunity because of the fact if you have them getting out of the game, that's a house to sell.
Right.
Got to jump on that.
Right.
It's just a matter, like I said, it's just a matter of, looking and looking at where those opportunities are,
No, absolutely.
So I think that our time is coming up. Is there anything you want to say before we got off?
Well, no, I would just say, while I love these talks that we have and the whole real estate and retirement concept that we came up with, because, people definitely need to start thinking more strategically, kind of change the way they think about money and finance and investment, and just kind of understand, the reason why these conversations are important, because we got to look at money like an asset. If people looked at money like we look at toilet paper now, we wouldn't have to have these conversations. Because it's like, no, they would realize, hey, it's an asset, it's a resource. I need to have as much as I need, maybe more than I need, just in case. You can't tell me all these people need all this toilet paper, but they still got it. Be like, okay, but I don't need it, but I might. So we got to think about money that way. We got to start stacking it and then waiting for these opportunities. Where
that's a post.
That's a what?
I say you inspired a post for me.
Okay.
You look at money.
Go ahead. Just give me credit. Just give me credit on that.
You look at money like you look at toilet paper. Where would you be?
Exactly. If you looked at your money like you do toilet paper, yeah. If you had rolls and rolls of money in your closet like you got toilet paper, you'd probably be all right. You wouldn't be right. You wouldn't be all that much concerned. You'd be like, nah, I think I'll be okay. Let me just tear off a couple of these 20s and I'm good. But literally, that we got to switch our thinking but we got to do some of these things that you're talking about in order to get all them rolls of dollar bills in our pantry, as opposed to the toilet paper being in there.
Exactly. Look, I agree. Just know that you inspired my next post.
All right.
About toilet paper.
Yeah, no, that's in one of my presentations. I got a roll of dollars. I got a roll of toilet paper. It's like, hey,
which one is more
toilet paper is nice, but the roll of 100s is nicer.
Look, I'm just know right now I'm about to call you out real quick though. But people that don't know, so everybody's doing the telework thing. You see Kelvin in his blazer and his collared shirt, but no one knows that he has pajama bottoms and fuzzy bunny slippers right now.
Now you would have had me with the pajama bottoms a couple days ago, but I actually got dressed up to go somewhere. So I have slacks on, but no shoes and no socks. So you got to have right. No shoes, no socks.
So okay. So not the fuzzy slippers today.
No fuzzy slippers. No Mickey Mouse ear slippers. None of that.
All right. So let's that's about our time on here. I'll call you later, and we of course we got some other things to talk about based off of our conversation earlier. So I'll just call you later, and this is let's make this the mini. What did I call it? I call it R2R Shop Talk. So let's make this the first of many.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah, R2R Shop Talk.
Awesome.
All right, I'll call you later, Kelvin.
All right, take care.
All right.